The wrath of God is God's prerogative, not ours. And this is the great difference between Islam and Christianity. Romans chapter 12, verse 19. Beloved, never avenge yourselves. Leave it to the wrath of God. For it is written, vengeance is mine. I will repay, says the Lord. If your enemy is hungry, feed him. If your enemy is thirsty, give him something to drink. Overcome evil with good. Christians don't take God's prerogative and become the mediators of wrath. We die for our enemies. We don't kill them. We don't pronounce damnation on infidels. We evangelize them. We plead with them. We love them. We call them. We go to them. That's why this conference exists. We're not those who go out looking to show wrath to our adversaries. That belongs to God, and He assigns us to love our enemies. That's my first point. The wrath of God is the main problem everywhere in the world, in every tribe, every people group, every culture, and it is relevant everywhere to tell that to people and how to solve it, which is point number 2. In the great mercy of God, in His great mercy, God Himself stepped into history in the person of His Son and took on a human nature so that He could endure for us His own wrath and bring us to Himself in everlasting joy. What a wildly glorious gospel. I mean, the world has never conceived of such a thing, that God is angry at them and has taken on human flesh to intercept His anger so it doesn't land on anybody in Jesus. That's off the charts glorious. You just have to believe all the reality behind it. It doesn't make any sense if you don't have the worldview that I just described from the first point. Now, where do I see that in Romans? Let's try this. Romans 8:32. Oh, I love this verse. God, who did not spare His own Son, but gave Him up for us all. So God did not spare His own Son. He had an eternal Son, the exact representation of the Father, like we heard in the short talk. And He takes on human flesh, becomes a man, and gives up His Son in death. And then verse 8 of chapter 5, He shows His love for us. Okay, if you walk out of here and somebody says, oh, they just talked about wrath at that conference. You just don't know what the love of God is unless you know the magnitude of His wrath. You don't know what the love of God is. The world talks about the love of God. They don't have a clue what the love of God is. This is the love of God. That while we were still wrath-deserving sinners, Christ, the Son of God, sent by God in love, died for us, meaning bore God's wrath for us, bore our guilt, bore our sin.